Three sides to every tale we tell. The truth is here, it's ringing bells.
Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive we put together just for you guys. So today we're going to be cracking open a book that's been making some noise. It's called the Alpha Male Bible, and as you can probably guess, it dives right into the world of attracting women. And let's just say it sparked some interesting conversations.
Yeah, you got that right. It's
Yeah.
definitely a conversation starter, for sure. You know, one thing I find really interesting is how this book, while it's giving dating advice, it really reflects these bigger societal ideas about masculinity
Yeah.
and what you need to do to succeed in the dating world.
Yeah, totally. Like, regardless of whether you think this advice is helpful or outdated, or maybe even a little cringy, I think it's valuable to unpack it. Like, what does it tell us about attraction,
Yeah.
confidence, and this whole alpha male concept that's become so popular?
Exactly. And the book really emphasizes this idea of the alpha versus the beta male. It paints a very specific picture of each one. The alpha is the confident one, the assertive one, like a natural leader who just effortlessly draws women in. And then on the other side, you have the beta. He's more passive, unsure of himself, and less successful with dating.
And it's not just these broad descriptions. The book gives specific examples of how these archetypes supposedly play out in how someone acts and thinks. Like posture is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about how alphas command attention. They stand tall, take up space, while betas might kind of shrink back or seem less confident.
It's so interesting how the book connects these physical cues, like internal states of mind. It's almost like they're saying that if you just adopt the posture of an alpha, you can start to feel that confidence inside. And that's what women are wired to respond to.
Okay, so let's get into the actual advice the book gives, because it's not just about looking like an alpha. It gives you a whole set of psychological tactics to attract women.
One of the main ideas is projecting confidence, of course, like we talked about. But it's more than just feeling confident. The book actually tells you how to use your body language to show that confidence, like making strong eye contact, speaking in a firm, clear voice, even using touch in certain ways to build attraction. It's all laid out for you.
And it gets pretty detailed, too, with some examples that might make you laugh a little. There's this technique they call the playful look, where you're supposed to hold a woman's gaze for a long time to show you're interested. And then there's the C rating button, which basically means steering the conversation towards more sexual topics to, like, heat things up.
Oh, wow. What I find fascinating is how the book pushes for this very direct, assertive approach to dating. They even encourage men to keep trying, even if a woman seems resistant at first. It's like they think women secretly want a man who's bold and doesn't give up easily.
Yeah, and that connects to another big theme in the book, creating a sense of urgency. The book really emphasizes making a woman feel like she needs to act now, where she might miss out. It plays on this idea that women are attracted to men who are in high demand. So if you can make yourself seem busy or unavailable, it'll actually make her more interested.
It's like that classic psychological principle, the scarcity principle.
Yeah.
The less available something is, the more you want it. The book basically takes that principle and applies it to dating.
Now, one thing that really surprised me in this book was the fact that they talk about self-hypnosis as a way to boost your alpha qualities. You don't see that in your typical dating advice.
You're telling me.
Right.
It's presented as a way to rewire your brain, to think and act like an alpha. The book even outlines the steps, including visualizing yourself as this confident, successful guy and using affirmations to reinforce those beliefs.
So, like, imagine this. You're closing your eyes. You're picturing yourself surrounded by attractive women, repeating phrases like, I am irresistible. It's all about changing how you see yourself, with the idea that this inner transformation will, like, radiate outwards and make you more attractive.
That's wild. It makes you wonder, is self-hypnosis really that powerful? Can it actually reprogram your mind like that? The book has anecdotal evidence and some scientific explanations for how it supposedly works. But it definitely gets into some shaky territory there.
Yeah, and this whole concept of charisma, it's kind of hard to define, isn't it? Like, what exactly makes someone charismatic? But the book tries to break it down, linking it to things like self-confidence, body language, and the ability to connect with people on an emotional level.
And it also puts a lot of emphasis on building trust. Not just trust like being reliable, but trust as a tool for seduction. The book argues that women are drawn to men. They feel safe and secure with you.
And they give concrete tips for how to do that, like maintaining eye contact, using a confident tone of voice. Those are presented as ways to seem trustworthy. But it also gets into some more, let's say, strategic techniques, like mirroring a woman's body language or subtly revealing vulnerabilities to create a feeling of intimacy.
So there's definitely an element of strategy there, even a hint of manipulation,
Yeah.
kind of woven into the advice.
Yeah, and that leads us to some of the more controversial parts of the Alpha Male Bible, the parts that have really caused debate and raised some red flags.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like the book frames these techniques as ways to empower men when they're dating, but some of them could definitely come across as manipulative or even disrespectful, depending on how they're used.
For sure, I think we have to acknowledge that. One of the criticisms of this book is that it makes these big generalizations about gender roles and what women are attracted to. It just assumes that all women are basically looking for the same things in a man: dominance, assertiveness, and being pursued relentlessly. And that's a pretty limited view, isn't it? It ignores all the different preferences and desires that people have, both men and women.
Yeah, it does. Honestly, it presents a very outdated view of relationships, one that's oversimplified and misses the complexity of human connection.
Right, and that emphasis on dominance and manipulation can be problematic. There are parts in the book that talk about overcoming a woman's resistance, pushing past her boundaries, using tactics to make her feel like she owes you something.
That's where it crosses the line. It starts to sound more like coercion than genuine attraction. And it completely disregards consent, respect, and mutual understanding, which are essential for healthy relationships.
Okay, so we've talked about the book's main idea of the alpha male, the specific tactics it recommends, and some of the more questionable aspects of the advice. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this whole framework of alpha versus beta? Do you think it's a useful way to look at masculinity in dating?
That's a really good question. I think it's worth exploring. On the one hand, this alpha-beta thing is a simplification. It's a stereotype that doesn't capture the full range of human behavior. It reduces men to these flat caricatures
Right.
and ignores all the different personality traits and experiences out there.
Right, and it perpetuates this idea that men need to fit into a very specific mold to be successful with women, which can be limiting and even harmful.
Definitely. But on the other hand, the book does tap into something that resonates with a lot of men. This desire to feel confident, to be seen as attractive and desirable, to be in control of their lives.
And those aren't necessarily bad things to want. The problem is that the book offers a very specific path to achieving those things, and it's a potentially harmful path, one that relies on manipulation and dominance, instead of genuine connection and respect.
Exactly. I think it's important to separate those desires, like confidence, attraction, agency, from the toxic parts of the alpha male stereotype. You can absolutely develop those qualities and build healthy relationships without resorting to these outdated and harmful tactics.
So that brings up the question, what's a healthier approach? How can men cultivate a sense of masculinity that's both empowering and respectful?
I think it starts with challenging these rigid frameworks and understanding that attraction relationships and what it means to be a man today are all much more nuanced than that.
So as we're wrapping up our deep dive into the Alpha Male Bible, I'm curious, what are your main takeaways? What stood out to you from the book? Did anything surprise you? And has this whole exploration changed how you think about attraction and dating?
It's definitely been a thought-provoking journey for sure.
Yeah.
I think what struck me most is how the book, while it claims to empower men, it actually preys on their insecurities. Like it presents this idea that there's a right way to be a man, a formula for attracting women. And if you don't fit that mold, you're somehow lacking.
It's like it creates the problem of not being alpha enough.
Yes.
And then conveniently offers its solution.
Exactly. And those solutions, those manipulative tactics,
Yeah.
might seem appealing at first glance, but in the end, they lead to a pretty empty experience. You can't engineer real connection through manipulation. It comes from authenticity and mutual respect.
Absolutely. True connection isn't about dominance or control. It's about vulnerability, shared experiences, and accepting each other for who you really are, flaws and all.
Right. And that's what this book completely misses. It oversimplifies human relationships, reducing them to a series of games and strategies. It's a very transactional view of connection.
So if this alpha-beta framework is outdated, and these manipulative techniques ultimately do more harm than good, what's a healthier way to approach things? What's a more authentic path for someone who's navigating dating and relationships?
That's a great question. And I don't think there's one right answer. But I think it starts with self-awareness, understanding your own value strengths, and what you're really looking for in a partner.
And it's also about building genuine confidence, right? The kind that comes from knowing yourself, accepting yourself, and not needing to put others down to feel good about yourself.
Exactly. And then approaching dating with an open heart and an open mind. Being willing to connect on a deeper level. To see the person in front of you as an individual, with their own unique story, not just someone to conquer or a stereotype to fit into a box.
So maybe instead of trying to become this idealized alpha male, we should focus on developing the qualities that make us truly attractive, like kindness, empathy, a sense of humor, a passion for life. Those are the things that really draw people in.
I completely agree. Those are the qualities that not only make our romantic relationships better, but every aspect of our lives. Ultimately, it's not about becoming an alpha. It's about becoming the best, most authentic version of ourselves.
That's a perfect note to end on. I think this deep dive into the Alpha Male Bible has been really insightful, even if some of what we learned was a bit disturbing.
It definitely brought up some important questions. It makes us think about our beliefs, about masculinity attraction, and what a healthy, fulfilling relationship really is. These are ongoing conversations. And I encourage you, our listeners, to keep exploring these topics, both on your own and with others.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning, keep learning, and keep the conversation going. Until next time.
3 sides to every tale we tell. The truth is here, it's ringing bells. Dive in deep, let's take a look in every twist and turn we took. For glory lies within the truth. We're chasing facts, it's our pursuit. Stories break and come alive, digging deeper to survive. In the chaos, hear the call.